since everybody's quieting down here, we're going to get going. First of all, my name's Bob Clements. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the president of the Southbridge Business Partnership, and welcome to UMass Harrington. I think we're going to hear a lot of great things that are going on here at the hospital, as well as some additional things that are going on around town. But I'm first going to start off, and I'm going to actually pass the mic, because the microphone is for the Southbridge Community TV so that they can hear us as we speak. But I want to pass the mic around and have everybody introduce themselves. We've got a good-sized crowd here, and I'm just going to start here and pass it around. We go back and come around this way. All right? Thank you. Just your name and the business you represent.
Hi, Lisa Fortin, Savers Bank, and I'm also treasurer of SBP.
Hi, Kelly Hibbard, work here at UMass Memorial Health Harrington.
Hi, Elvis Dias, Southbridge Coffee Roasters and Vice President of Southbridge Business Partnership.
And Karen Dyer from Southbridge Coffee Roasters.
I'm Irene Kostandakis from Southbridge.
Glenda Soto Rodriguez from Savers Bank.
Lynn Lane from Savers Bank.
Alessandra Jakes from A&M.
Bob Jakes from A&M.
Doug Yoffe, I'm developing property here. I moved here recently.
Debbie Shiro, Director of the Optical Heritage Museum.
Greg Cummings, I'm opening a restaurant at 205 Main Street.
Xavier Rosario, representing the Tri-Community Family Branch, YMCA in Southbridge.
Brenda Kilhenny, Dexter Russell.
John O'Clair, Dexter Russell.
Ellis Cropper, I'm going to call it Financial Education Advocacy. That's just a short way to say I teach financial literacy.
Dick Whitney, Optical Heritage Museum, and my wife Peg with the museum as well.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Peg. And actually, I used to work here many years ago for almost 30 years administering EEGs. But that's really not why I'm here tonight. I'm here to give support to the partnership.
Cheyenne Grenier, owner of Moon Magic Cafe.
Kathy Grenier with Moon Magic Cafe.
Dave Adams with the Veterans Council.
Tracy Price with the Veterans Council.
Jonathan Kamasi with Whitewater.
Denise Clements, Business Development for Hyde Group, and we are also working on a number of projects for the community, perhaps as a restaurant in our future as well.
I'm Sue Starkey. I'm the Community Development Block Grant Coordinator for the town of Southbridge.
Hi, everybody. Margaret Morrissey. I'm the Library Director of Jacob Edwards.
Hello, everyone. It's my first time here. So my name is Eric, and I'm from Southbridge Dentistry and Implants.
Gabriel McCarthy, y'all LLC.
Kyriakos Konstantakis, KK, Central Pizza and Pub.
Ed Moore, President of UMass Memorial Health Harrington. Thank you.
All right, great to see everybody here tonight. And as all things Southbridge go, we're continuing to grow. There's a lot going on in town. I believe the town is still on a cusp of better things and growth going on. And I hope that you're going to hear about some of it that's happening tonight. Just a reminder, the SBP annual meeting is next month, February 22nd at the Wellsworth Hotel. Actually, excuse me, the 26th at Wellsworth Hotel. And more information will be coming via email about that event. So today, we're proud to be welcomed by UMass Harrington. Thank you very much for hosting this. The branch that we're here, our hospital, has been here since 1931, and today it's part of a much larger regional hospital healthcare system that will support this community for many years into the future. Later, Ed Moore, President, will speak to us about the ongoing changes and advancements here at UMass Harrington and give us a tour of the new ICU unit that's under construction. At this point, I'd like to bring Peg Dean up, Economic Development and Planning Director for Southbridge. Peg is going to inform us about all the things that are going on in Southbridge during 2025. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have up here, this is what will be our TIP project, which I'll reference, and then behind that, just an overview of some of the projects happening in town. I also have here some right-of-way plans, which if anybody wanted to stick around after the tour and had questions about what we'll reference, you're welcome to dig into these. I first want to send the town manager's regrets. He was unable to attend. He had multiple subcommittee meetings where he's presenting on behalf of the town and the Airport Commission to request to apply for a $1.4 million MassDOT and FAA-funded grant to build and construct a new 6T hangar at the airport. That'll bring additional revenue into the airport. This is in addition to the recently completed $1 million fencing that was funded by MassDOT. And all of that's important economic development, in my opinion. So, of course, we'd prefer to hear it from him. In the meantime, I'll be here in his absence to just give you a few highlights. We have a lot of exciting news to share. Our fire station is going out to bid. For those of you who are aware, we've been working on trying to build the new fire station over at McCann Fields, the Henry Street area there. We want to thank Congressman Neal for the $1 million earmark to close the funding gap, allowing us to go forward, so that was wonderful. We're working on our animal control shelter. For those of you who know, that's been something in the works for a long time. Those of us previous Councilor Adams might be more intimately familiar with. So that's finally going forward. We're exploring opportunities with area communities when it comes to shared services for animal control. So that's regional efficiency, always looking to be better at doing government more efficiently. Currently, we're in construction on East Main Street. For those of you who have been caught in construction, I apologize. It's never the right time to have construction done. We want our roads renovated, we want construction completed, but of course it's going to interfere. We don't want to have to pay for overtime to have overnight construction work, obviously, and we're actually very excited to have them working through the winter to be able to get these projects done sooner. So that is a drainage and water improvement. It's also various sidewalk changes and road improvements all the way from North Woodstock to East Main Street. So that's very exciting. And actually, if I was to just start to look at all of the road projects happening. So for those of you who can't really see this very well, you could always sneak up later. But this is sort of from Hamilton Street all the way to the AO complex. And so for most of you who know, the 17 buildings here in the AO are being redeveloped. We've got these 3 new, this 5 Case Street's been developed with new housing, and these 2 have been this has been permitted, this has been permitted, so things are happening. With regards to what was within the town's purview is obviously construction and or infrastructure, and how we can promote private investment. And so we feel like we're doing the best job we can for the town. So the East Main Street project, that's a $3 million project that's happening up until this summer. Once that's done, concurrently we're doing the rail trail. So if you see the blue line, that is our Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail. That's currently in construction. That's a big deal for the town. That's been on the books for decades. It's something the town wanted to do. And so the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail is finally in full swing, developing a rail trail along the existing rail bed from Dudley to Crane Street, and then on road to Sturbridge, or almost to Sturbridge, through the Westville Dam area. All to be completed by November. There'll be an overlook at each end of Main Street, so you'll be able to come up here and come up here, and you'll be able to see into the Rotary, and then we'll be pursuing funds for a bridge to be able to connect that and bring back that nostalgic bridge that will no longer be the sardine can that it was, but now will be a lovely pedestrian bike bridge over the East Main Street Rotary. We are now in phase 1 of River Crane Street, so that's great, obviously, for 12 Crane Street residents. So great for the Optical Heritage Museum, great for revitalization of 12 Crane Street. We see this as tying, we obviously want to promote Dexter Russell, right? So we see this as great for many businesses. So then you can't really see it on the map here, but River Crane Street would come up back here, and then you'd come into the Globe Village. We feel like all of our construction is really tying from Globe Village all the way to the American Optical Complex. So River Crane Street, we're doing drainage, installing sidewalks, repaving up to the Dexter Russell area, and that'll be completed by the fall. And then phase 2, which we initially didn't have on the books, but had some counselors advocating for, phase 2 will be completed by next year, thanks to a MassWorks grant of $2.7 million. So we've gotten lucky over and over again, really strong applications. I think the state sees all of the leveraging of investment that we're doing, coupling, a federal project, state projects, all these monies, right, that are culminating into real impact for the downtown. Okay, so some of you may have received a letter of intent related to the TIP project. Has anybody received a letter in the mail about the TIP project? KK? Yeah, so for any of you who have, this is for our Transportation Improvement Program project, or the TIP. We'll be advertising this in the spring or summer. This is to redesign Hook, Hamilton, La Rochelle, Central, Foster, all of this swath near the RMV. So you've got the RMV at the old depot, and then this section of Hamilton through Hook, La Rochelle, Central, and Foster, all being redesigned and reconfigured. You'll see this on La Rochelle. This is a new piece of road that will be inserted to be able to change the traffic flow, and that will reduce the safety hazards here at Central Hook and Central La Rochelle. We have town councilors advocating then to, in the future, try to change Hamilton and Central to one-ways to try to promote more of a business district here, widen sidewalks, and be able to, safely open your car door when you want to go to Central Pizza, right? Yes. And so that's a $7 million project. This has been on the books for 20 years. So this is not any one person's efforts. This is a culmination of the Redevelopment Authority. Yes, 20 years, exactly. It starts with an urban renewal plan back in the 2000s that calls out some of these safety issues and how to revitalize the downtown. That gets on the books, then that gets approved by DOT, then it goes on to the TIP. The TIP takes 5 years. They take 5 years to design, so you can see how it just takes a long time. So here we are finally happening this summer. If you have questions about this project, I have right-of-way plans here for anybody who's going to be impacted. And then if you have questions in general about the design, stop into the office and we can answer any questions you might have. Another important transportation improvement program project is the Mill Street bridges. So Guido's family, hi, the Jakes, how are you? Yes, so the bridges will be replaced in 2026. So our plan, actually our justification to the state was, give us the River Crane money to finish River Crane, because we need a safe alternate route before you go and take those bridges out, right? So we were able to justify getting the extra $2.7 million to finish all the way to Pleasant Street there, and then we'll see those bridges taken out and we'll repave at the same time. That'll be a big improvement, right? So we look forward to that. And then we have road improvements on North Street, so then we'll want to extend the TIP project by completing the North Street neighborhood here using CDBG funds. So we thought, okay, what can we do to complement the TIP project that hasn't been done? So that will be done this year. And in the Globe Village, so in addition to work from the Globe Village all the way to the AO, there are also some rural projects that are being done. We've got from North Woodstock Road and Eastford Road, if you picture them on the Connecticut line, each road's going to get about 2 to 3 miles worth of paving done by MassDOT. We don't even have to manage the project. So that was a gift in itself. We're all incredibly excited for that. And finally, we're happy to announce a recent award from MassDOT, not from MassDOT, from the federal DOT, for $8 million to completely transform Hamilton Street. We applied 3 years in a row for this grant. We were automatically re-reviewed for this project thanks to repeatedly high-scoring applications. We have many people to thank for this award. The town manager and town council continue to hold this project up as a priority, voting year over year to apply and commit additional funds for concurrent water and sewer funding. BSC Group is the consultants that we hired to write the grant application. CMRPC, our local planning agency, helped derive data for the application. The police department provided crash and safety related statistics. Members of U.S. Congress advocated for the grant, a critical element for being awarded, and our state reps and senators provided letters of support. We sent pleading emails in the 11th hour. We kept our expectations low, but to our amazement, we were notified 2 weeks ago that we'll be getting this grant. This project begins in 2 to 3 years. And so if you can really start to see, not so much from this map, but again, you'll have all of this development happen, then you'll have River Crane Street has to be done first for drainage reasons. Then when that's complete, you'll have Hamilton Street done, and you'll really feel the connection between the development happening in Globe Village all the way to the AO. So all good things happening, right? A lot of the town councilors will say, why not Southbridge? So why not, right? It's happening. It's all good. Thank you.
And many thanks to Peg Dean because she coordinated all of those efforts. You need a good coordinator, and Peg Dean is the one who stayed the course and made sure it all came together.
You're sweet, but I have to say, it was because the town council was willing to take chances on a lot of these. I was begging for lots of things that you couldn't necessarily see in the future, and they trusted us to go ahead with this stuff. And we were very lucky to now have Jack as the town manager. Jack has known me since I started when he was the chair and sort of believed in my work, and so he's kind of let us run with stuff. And if it wasn't for all of their backing, all of the funding, all of the matches, everything to be able to get these applications, out the door. It's a full-on team effort, hands down. So we're very excited to be where we are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for Peg at all?
So in the meantime, Chip Norton has talked about potentially being able to go for an earmark that could include funding for a bridge over the Rotary. So we'll see. I'm obviously, as you know, I'm always looking for that next opportunity. So I will definitely cast the net as wide as possible to try to find those funds.
Okay, well, this is wonderful. Thank you first for coming. And it's great to have a captive audience since you can't leave until I finish talking. What I'll first ask you, though, is to stay afterwards because we're going to break into maybe groups of 6 or 8, 10 people and take you up to the 4th floor, down the hall from my office, to a place where some of you may have been born, which is the former maternity unit. Because we transformed that in this past year into a brand new ICU, which is going to be 8 beds now, instead of the 6 we have, and it's probably 3 times the size of our current ICU overall, to, as well, 7 step-down immediate care beds, which is fantastic because we have demand, we're full all the time, and being now part of UMass Memorial Health, I think it gives us much more stature in this community to be able to serve the entire South County region. So I'm going to take a few minutes, if you'll allow me to, and give you some background why we did the deal we did with UMass, what that's all about. So any questions or speculation about that, you all understand what components are critical for this community and how it really, through a lot of effort from our board, from our senior team, really solidified Harrington for eternity, I would say. For as long as there's healthcare in Central Mass, Harrington will now be here. When you hear and see what's going on around the state, especially around, I think you might have read about Stewart hospitals and others in the region like Neshoba. Neshoba actually went bankrupt and they closed. They're trying to revitalize it somehow, but it's a difficult situation. We never wanted to be in that situation. Our board made a conscious decision to find an owner. I would say it wasn't a merger, it was an acquisition because we wanted to be acquired. That's what we went through almost 4 years ago now when it closed, but we were onto this for about 3 years before that, working with our board to say, what's the best solution to serve these communities? We really serve 20 towns. Southbridge is where we're based here. We have a big site, obviously, in Webster because Hubbard was going under in 2009. We took that over. It's a very vibrant campus now. And when we looked around, and I do want to first, not to be remiss and share this with you, but in the room, Marisol, you all know Marisol, you all know Kelly, but Chris Kniff is my Vice President for Administration here as well. And I say that because Chris and I go back, how many, 15 years now? 15 years. And I've been here almost 18. Hard to believe, time flies, right? But I'll never be able to be here, probably, as long as Dick Manchin, who many of you recall was here 31 years. So that's a tough number to beat. But with that being said, Chris and I worked hard with the board to come up with what's the right strategy to assure that there'll be health care in this community, not just 5 years from now or then, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And ultimately, the right answer was UMass, because they're not going away. They're going to be around, and they've grown. And just to give you a sense of size and scope, first of all, our total budget is about $180 million. Not bad. What do you think UMass's total is now with Harrington and Milford that just joined? Anyone guess? $4 billion. That's not small by any matter, and it's complex, and it's tied to the medical school. It's complicated. But we're able to, and I keep looking at the signs we put up now, being part of UMass, that we're able to now benefit from that relationship in multiple ways. Money's one, and I'll talk about the investments in a moment, but a lot of other resources. If you use our services, you're now on the best electronic medical record in the country, called Epic. You will be sick and tired of getting notices from MyChart and appointments and everything else, but it's there for that reason, to help you take care of your health better. And we never could have had that. We had a commitment actually to a previous system that we had to take what did we lose, like $500,000 or more? Because we pulled out of a deal we were going to do with Meditech to expand our model with Meditech that we had before. And we knew that wasn't the best system, but we couldn't afford Epic. They wouldn't even talk to us, actually. But being part of UMass, we got it. Anyone want to guess how much it cost UMass to put Epic at Harrington? $50 million, 50. That's not a small investment. So they were serious about acquiring Harrington because it came with commitments. The other commitment that it came with was capital improvements. Before we joined UMass, I'd say we could claim over the last 15 years, right, Chris? We spent about $120 million. New floors, you could look around. We've touched almost every spot here and in Webster. New ER in Webster. Some was fundraised and all that. We then, from UMass, got a commitment for capital every year, for routine capital, and it's a significant amount, like $5 million or more a year, as well as major pieces of projects like the ICU that I'm going to show you tonight. And those are things that I would be quick to say, as an independent, we probably couldn't have done. So I think we're in a great spot. I think we have a great team here. The care you get here should be equal or better than going into Worcester, and I say that in many ways comfortably. I think we still treat everybody as an individual. Some people have direct experience, and we pride ourselves on that. And we're busy, but we still view it as, how do we get that patient in our ER, and if they need a bed, get them up to the floor as quick as possible. Hopefully you won't have an experience. Sometimes at UMass, they could be waiting for half a day, 2 days, a fair amount of time in an emergency room. By the way, UMass just finished and opened a building called the North Pavilion. It's the former Beaumont Nursing Home, right behind the main campus. 72 new beds. Probably spent $150 million or more just doing that project. So there's a lot of stuff going on in healthcare right now. What I wanted to focus on, though, here is, Bob mentioned 1931, and some people will remind me with pictures, the walk up Main Street, right? Any of you around for that? But really, there's a lot of history here, and we're very proud to continue that history and really engage with the community. And being the largest employer in the immediate area, we have that responsibility, and we take it very seriously. And what we really, though, I think want to make sure we do is continue to engage folks in the community. And this is a great opportunity to say that and do that. And we're trying to rethink, how do we get all of you and your friends and your family and other members in the community to participate in more things at Harrington? Whether it's just for feedback, we have a patient family advocacy committee. We have a community and legislative group that we want to make sure we reach out properly. We have volunteer opportunities. Right, Kelly? Correct. Plenty of opportunity. So there's opportunities to participate. We have philanthropy opportunities, seriously. There are opportunities to really participate and support different causes that we have. One thing we've really made our name known within the UMass system is for two things, I would say, easily two things at least. Well, maybe a few more, I'll claim. One is innovation. We don't hesitate to take the opportunity to try new things and be creative and take advantage of opportunities where probably it would take a lot longer in a large system to implement. We're nimble. we can make decisions quick. We can try something because scale is not this big, but pilot it. And one example of that is a program we started about 2 years ago. Dr. Dixon has now really gotten behind it. It's called remote patient monitoring. Any of you ever hear that term at all? Okay. So this is not home health. This is not just getting one blood pressure cuff. What it is it's being monitored at home with devices that are hooked up electronically to a company that collects the data, that has a nurse and a health coach monitoring that data. That data every month is fed into your chart, to your primary care doc, to your cardiologist, to make sure that daily, if you comply, which is important, your data will be seen by your doctor, and if there's an issue, you could then be managed, your meds or otherwise, to stay healthier. And we also, working with this company, started the idea of not just for, and it's more about the chronic conditions, congestive heart failure, diabetes, whatever, right? To try to keep you healthier, because we don't want you in our ER. We don't want you in our inpatient beds. We want you to stay at home and get healthy, right? So the benefit of this is someone's keeping an eye on you in between your doctor visits all the time, if you comply to, take your weight, take your blood pressure, whatever. So the bottom line is, we started it. We have 500 patients now on it. We decided to do it with patients who are being discharged with chronic heart failure, congestive heart failure, I meant, CHF, because those people return very frequently. We want to reduce the frequent flyers. Like I said, we don't need the business. We want to see you healthy. So with that, we did it for about a year. UMass said, that's a great idea. So now they've adopted it at the rest of the system. They're rolling it out. Milford is going to roll it out because they're new to the system as well. But that's an example of how we could be on the forefront and a pioneer to help the community, which is a real goal, to stay healthy, right? We all want quality of life for as long as we can get it. And we can offer that now through this model, for example. The other thing we're known for, and probably 10 or 20 years ago, I probably couldn't be up here talking about this, but we have probably we definitely have the most significant program in behavioral health for the whole Central Mass area. We have 2 inpatient units of 40 beds in Webster. When we took over Webster, they had an operating room that nobody was using, and they had an ICU that really was, maybe there was 1 or 2 patients on it at most ever. We cannibalized all that and built 2 psych units. And in addition to that, put outpatient programs both in Webster and multiple other sites throughout this region. And I hope you understand that whether you have behavioral health issues or substance use issues, they're real. A lot of people suffer from that. In fact, I don't know who remembers this, but it's got to be at least 8 or 10 years ago. We were, I think Hyde was involved. Remember, the Southbridge police needed a new canine dog, right? I think I was there with you guys. You were supporting it, we were supporting it, and Jose Dingy said to me, in that month alone, I think it was June of whatever year, there were 10 suicides or 10 overdoses that led to deaths. I said, so my head of behavioral health, Greg, comes to me and says, what are we going to do about this? And I said to him, what are we going to do about it? He says, I got a great idea. So we started a program. It's basically, we call it addiction immediate care. You know what it really is? It's urgent care for addicts. Where we take, he says to me, this is a true story. He says to me one day, he says, if I take my kid in and he has an orthopedic injury, we send him we get an x-ray, we send him to an orthopod and he gets fixed. If you go to the ER and you have a cancer diagnosis, you get seen in oncology right away at the cancer center. What do you do if you have substance use problems? You get a card from the ER if you overdosed, and if you're interested, try to you get a referral, and you try to get to see someone, and it'll probably take you months to get in. You'll probably die before that, honestly. We get them in that day or the next day for counseling and put them on either methadone, Suboxone, or Vivitrol, whatever's the right drug for them to help them be successful. That program is unheard of in the rest of the state. And I'm proud that we can offer services like that to make a difference And tell me if you don't know anyone affected by either behavioral health or substance use. Anyone know anyone not affected? Every family, every friend, somebody knows somebody who's had a problem. We have a chance to make a difference and help them. And that, to me, is a great statement about local care. You don't got to go to Boston. Nobody wants to go to Boston from here. My God, traffic, parking. And even Worcester, right? How many of you really love going to Worcester if you don't have to? So we have that edge, and I want to take full advantage of that. And it does work as well to keep folks local for business and other reasons. So the more we can do locally, the better it is for all of us. So what I'm trying to convey is we're sitting on a great opportunity here and a great story that's occurred over the last decade, 15 years of transforming, and I'll say it in the nicest way possible, and I'm not begrudging anybody, but it was a fairly, sleepy hospital that was serving the local area. I'd say right now, we serve a large community in 20 towns that's making a real difference in a large variety of scope of services. And I think that really speaks to the mission we have, which is healthcare is a tough business these days. I hope you realize that. It's not easy to take care of patients. It's not easy with the, workforce challenges. They're real. There's not enough primary care doctors. I'll be the first to admit that. There's not enough, nurses, CT techs, you name it. But we're striving to really make it all come together and work. And, I can only share with you this. Haywood went through bankruptcy north of Worcester. Steward Healthcare, 7 hospitals in Massachusetts went bankrupt. Some came out, some didn't. Prospect, which is a company that owns ECHN, which is Manchester and Rockville, and Waterbury and a hospital in Rhode Island, they went bankrupt most recently 2 weeks ago. It's real. Healthcare is suffering. But UMass, it's got its challenges, but it's more than surviving, it's thriving. And it's growing dramatically. And we're really an essential part of that, even though our size, as I mentioned before, is relatively small to the whole. But I would be the first to claim we're making much more of an impact than the size difference, if you will. And that's huge, because if you live in this community, hopefully you feel good that you have this resource here. And I feel strongly that it's our fiduciary responsibility with the board, and some of you know some of our board members. Mike Engel is the chair, Deb Boyd is our vice chair. It's a great board. Alan Peppel was fantastic all the years, that he served as a board leader. So we're blessed. We're blessed to be able to be here and offer that service. So I just want to share that story with you. And, I've seen the pictures. It goes back to those roots of walking up Main Street and what we now are leaving, paying it back and moving forward. And I think we're in this unique position because we made a conscious decision to give up independence. And for those of you, like Denise, who served on the members group, there was the process, and as I'll describe, we had to get to a point where the board approved something, but ultimately the members in the community, there were 60 members, some of you may have participated, and Denise I know did, had a vote. And they had a choice. They could have blocked the deal. And we explained the details of the deal, what the parameters were, what the commitments were, and they approved it, giving up independence. Doesn't mean there's not a board, doesn't mean we're still not a fully licensed hospital, but the control is through UMass. And we gave up some independence, which is fine, because they understand the mission. The missions are identical. And that's what it's all about. And the beauty is, I'll say it this way, Dr. Dixon, who some of you know quite well, has done everything to treat us very well and very fairly. And I would say that, whether it's Chris or the rest of my team, and Kelly can swear on this, the team is intact. Nobody ran away. The only 2 people that changed roles, my CFO, Tom Sullivan, retired. He was planning to anyway, and then he goes to work at Haywood for 2 years to help save them out of bankruptcy. And then the only other one was Harry, who ran IT and other areas. He got promoted to be the head of realty for all the UMass system. So he's dealing with all the leases and buildings and everything else. But the rest of the group, whether it's Chris, Jess, Greg, others, they're intact. And that's a really great statement to make. That's not always the case when deals happen. You can imagine. There's sometimes a big falling out and, but I've been now, we did the deal effective July 1 of 21. In the midst of COVID, while Dr. Dixon was worrying about, and he's an ER doc, by the way, while he was staffing a field hospital for COVID in a tent. So bottom line is, we probably lost 3 months in that whole process, but we closed the deal in July of 21. And we're still here to talk about it, which is a pretty good thing. So I'm really happy to answer any questions you have about anything going on, and please, don't be shy, which I'm sure you won't be. Not you first. Yes, Peg.
And so from an economic development perspective, I want to thank you so much for everything Harrington does for Southbridge. My question is, I saw in the Worcester Business Journal a quick reference to something about a pilot program about Alzheimer's, and thought this is just one other example, but I didn't get a chance to look into it.
No. It's in my notes, but I forgot to look at that note. So two things, and Chris, you should remind me if I miss anything else. So when we talk about innovation, we spoke about behavioral health, we spoke about remote monitoring, but there's two more things I forgot. One is, in the Worcester Journal that you're referencing, we just got approved, only 10 hospitals in the country, for a $250,000 grant to screen patients for Alzheimer's or dementia in a much more technology sophisticated way to determine if they do have it or likely will have it, and therefore that will lead to better diagnosis and better treatment and better medications for them. It's a national grant it's called Davos, which is this group we got approved by, and they gave out $250,000 over 3 years, and we're partnering with a company out of Cambridge, Mass. Called Linus, literally like peanuts, right? So it seems odd to me, but they're great people. We love them. We're working well with them. We're going to kick it off in a few months. But it's amazing because you're talking about some major medical centers throughout the country, 9 others that got approved, and Harrington. Not UMass. Actually, I know I'm on TV, so I got to be careful how I say this. UMass applied as well, separate from us. We got it. Have to be careful how I said that, but yes. Right, Chris? Okay. So thank you for bringing that up. I meant to mention that. It's going to be pretty exciting to see the results of that, because that's also a difficult area to deal with Alzheimer's for folks. Question over here you had?
Same thing.
Oh,
Same one.
oh, really?
I saw it today.
Oh, good. Yeah, we got some press on it, which is great. Other questions? Oh, that's Anchor Mission. That's my last note. Thank you. I've spoken to some of you before about this, but, and Chris will correct me, but when we did when the acquisition occurred, the final thing that got, literally, this is true story, the final thing that got it over the finish line, UMass put something on the table. They said, we have this program that we're part of nationwide called the Anchor Mission program. The Anchor Mission program is a way to use, I think it's 1% or something of your investment portfolio towards programs, it doesn't even have to be a nonprofit, but towards programs that meet a need in a community to allow the organization, us, to identify those programs and give out a loan to help a local person or business start something up or do something that'll make a difference in the community. Okay? So the Center of Hope, so we got approved as part of that deal. We got approved, at the time, UMass had a pool of $4 million. Think of it this way, it's a recurring fund that has like a 2% interest, so it's available at low interest rates to help somebody get started. The example I used to use was, there's a shortage of transportation locally. If somebody wants to be, have the entrepreneurial nature and want to start a chair van service or something, or a taxi service to meet the needs of a population that needs this, but they don't have the capital, we can help support the capital, but the business has to be viable to pay back the loan. But you don't have to go through all the bank requirements and everything else. So in that regard, UMass had $4 million in total. Our board said, well, how much will you give us to provide to the community? They gave us $4 million as well. That's not a bad account to give out, but it's with payback. It's not just a grant, because the philosophy was, if it's a grant, you get it that year. What if you don't get it the next year? What if you don't get it the next year? This way, you help someone build a viable business with a return and help the community in meeting a need. So the first one we did two so far. We're looking at a couple of others, and we want to look at more. And if you have ideas, thank you for referencing that. The second one, one of the first we did was Center of Hope. You know the ice cream shop now? Is that Hamilton or near Hamilton? Yeah. Yeah, Foster. We supported the construction and equipment associated with that project to Cindy as a loan to say, hey, we think it helps you with the population you serve to work there. We think it's a need in the community because there's no ice cream since Friendly's left, I gather, right? So that's a good thing. And if you can make it viable, you could pay back the loan. Perfect story. The other thing we did was we worked with Renaissance Medical. Many of you may know Jesus. Well, when Jesus came to town, he approached me first and said, I'm thinking of coming to town. I want to do adult daycare. I'm looking at this building. How do we feel? I said, I think it's great. We don't offer the services you offer. Why don't we collaborate? You do that, and that's great. So he takes that building. Many of you know which one, of course, from Greek restaurant. And it ends up, he finishes 3/4 of it, if you recall. He had shell space in the back with a lot of storage, if I recall, where the loading dock is, right? He said to me about 2 years ago, I want to finish the space because I already have 160 or 170 people using our program, and I have another 100 waiting list at least to get in, but I can't put more in because I don't have enough space of this finished space. I want to finish off the back, he says. I said, okay, what do you need? He says, I need a loan. Rather than go to a bank, come to us. And he could pay it back because his business makes sense. It works financially. So we supported that to finish off the back space, and now he's accepting new patients, which meets a local need as well. So we're open to any ideas where you can show us a business plan as well as a community need. And then we would endorse it and bring it forward to the folks at UMass who oversee that program and say, hey, we think this is great. I don't care which town in our 20-town service area. We think it meets a need. Let's get behind it. And think of it as a recurring account because, between those two, it's not even much over, it's probably a little over $1 million between them. That gives me still $2.5–3 million to play with, and those monies will be coming back in as they make their payments. So there's plenty of money. I just need ideas. So if anyone has ideas, just approach us. Yes, sir.
How do you explore application to,
Call me.
say I want to expand the museum?
Call Chris. You got to pay it back. We need a model to pay it back.
It's very informal to get started, right? You just reach out to one of us, Ed, myself, anybody else in leadership, begin just the ball rolling. There is a formal, application process you go through and make sure there's some viability to it, and ultimately the system signs off and says, yeah, we think this makes sense or not, but very informal. So please, if you have ideas, just reach out to us. We'll have you in for coffee in Ed's office, and we'll talk through the idea and see where it goes. Thank you.
Or if you come later in the day, I'll serve you wine, that's all. Other questions? Anyone? No? Everyone ready for a tour? If we're done with the rest of the meeting, Bob, you tell me what we got left.
I guess before we take off and go upstairs, because I think afterwards we'll break up after that, but does anybody have any announcements, things that they wanted to get in front?
Jack wanted me to be very mindful to mention that we know there's going to be a lot of disruptions because of the upcoming construction, and we'll be doing our best to make sure that you're all notified of potential closures. We're coming up with the best communication solutions we can for those projects. We obviously don't want to see any of this negatively impacting your businesses, and we're hoping that all this work is to benefit you. Okay, so I just failed to mention that. I went off script earlier, sorry.
So I'm Dave Adams. I'm with the Veterans Council of Southbridge. I just wanted to let you know, we're doing that $2 million project over on Dresser Park. And today we released the donation through See My Legacy. And if anybody's interested, We have plenty of flyers. Thank you.
It's that time of year. Once again, we are going to start our kickoff meeting for Autumn Fest. I'm going to schedule it for Tuesday, February 4th at 4:30 at Savers Bank. We want volunteers with ideas. Any ideas we want to make? We always like to make it different. I have a few ideas already in mind, but please join us. I'm going to pass around the sign-up list, the email. That way I can email everyone. Okay? So just keep passing it around, and I'll collect it at the end. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Ed?
I'd like to recognize Sturbridge Roasters. Could you please talk about the donation you're giving to the Cancer Center?
So every year, some of you probably know, some might not, since we've been in business, we've done a little something in October where for every pound of coffee I sell, I donate $1 of the proceeds towards Harrington's Cancer Center. And it's grown along the years, as you might imagine, if you know my company and how we've grown. And this year, we just finally, today actually did the picture for the October Think Pink last year. Been busy since then, craziness of Christmas, et cetera, in my world. And it amounted to $802 this year, I think. And we're pretty proud of what we do. We do it because we love people. We do it because people matter. We give because people count. Thank you.
No, the board at this point is fairly well set at this moment. Oh. Ed's looking for people. How's that? If people, we'd love to have people join us and some of our subcommittees, again, to help SBP grow and benefit the community and our businesses and as a whole. So if you have some time, you can talk to any of the board members. So it'd be myself, Lisa, and we'll see how things go. Basically, I would say board members. Okay, I'm gonna go down there. I got Kelly, Greg, Debbie. Who else is here on the board? Ellis. And okay, info@sbpartnership.org is our email address. So that will come in to a general mailbox, and the board will get it. Website is sbpartnership.org.
And is there a new website for events?
There is a new website.
Okay, hang on.
Thank you for bringing that up. So something that I thought we needed was a website that kind of was a conglomerate of all the events happening in Southbridge, so that people they have one place to go. Now, obviously, I know the library has a website. I think the recreation department has a website. The Southbridge Business Partnership has a website. But again, I don't think people are necessarily tuned into that. So I created a website called southbridge365.com. And basically, any partners that have an event, if they want to post it, they just have to send me an email. I'll post it, and I'll send it out to anyone that's subscribed to receive the updates, okay? As of now, 2 people have subscribed. Dave Adams and Deb Shiro. And Doug, you've also. Thank you. So obviously no one knows what the events are because none of you are getting emails because none of you have subscribed. But hopefully after this meeting, you will. And we don't spam you. But it's for all those people that want to do something in Southbridge, and if you miss the Facebook post, you find out afterwards. Oh, there was a skating party on the res. Or, hey, there was, a car show that we're hoping to put together, or, things like that. So if a blood drive, they took my blood right over there. A lot of it. It was painless, and now I get a card, and I'm going to do it every 6 months. Yeah, no, I encourage everyone to do it. It's actually, I think they're, yeah, no, they said they had a very good turnout, actually. They did. But events like that, we can post, and members can post. So if you have an event you want to try to get more people, just put it on. It's not painful.
So could I just, I'm going to just
say thank you, Doug. Thank you, Greg. Stay here though. Okay. So when back in the day, the only place you could find out what was going on was the evening news. You would go in and place your courtesy ad. Everybody had a courtesy ad. Businesses would pay for courtesy ads for people having fundraising events or some type of event. And it often was said that we needed a calendar in the community that people could look, because it turned out that the Lions was the same day as the Polish Club, as the Italian picnic, as the fundraiser for the hospital. Nobody realized that going into it, it just would happen and nobody would produce a calendar. So I realized this is centric to the SBP in some ways. Well, I mean, obviously you have to be a member to get on.
Yeah, well, no. Anyone can go to the. You can all go. I encourage you to pull it up right now on your phones,
right,
so you can actually see the
right,
site.
Right.
But the idea was it would be added value if you were a member of the partnership.
Correct.
You could post
your event, right? Not necessarily a partnership event, but your event, and that's still good. That's still good.
Want to limit, obviously, events that are good for the town, the community, nonprofits that might not be partners. I'm not going to limit them.
Right.
I also am self-serving. I need people to give me the events.
Right.
It's no good
right.
to have a calendar that has nothing on it.
A community event, a community calendar. So I'm not saying it can't be just centric to SBP. I'm just saying it's good that somebody is doing something, because nothing gets done, and the newspaper's very different nowadays. You don't walk into the office of the building that's closed and try to, get a courtesy ad. So it's very different. So thank you for doing something, because it's always been a problem.
So if I knew about this before, and if a lot of people subscribed, I would mention this. But tomorrow night, if you have nothing to do, we're looking for people to come to this room. We have what's called our Patient Family Advisory Council meeting. And if you came here at 5, you could participate and give us feedback of your experience or other people's experience of how the hospital's doing or not doing too well. We want to hear it. So if anybody's available, pop in. And Jess Calcidisi, or my chief operating officer and chief nursing officer, she runs the meeting. I have some board people on there. So I could post it on your website. She'll do it. Marisol's doing it. But only Doug will get it, since he's your only subscriber. But honestly, we want that engagement from you, and we really do want you to consider being part of our board or other committees of our board as well. So if you can't get on the SBP board, maybe you'll be on our board. Who knows? Thank you.
Actually, as a SBP partnership, you can actually go directly to the website, and under forums, you can post your event. Now, and again, I want to thank Karen for that. So Karen, we partnered with Wild Apricot to do our new website, and just tons of features. I know many of you got at least one announcement if you're here. Some of you got 3, and I noticed some of you didn't sign up until the second one, and then you got reminders. And so that's some of the features from the new website. But another feature, you can actually go to the forum, post your event. Once you post it, what I'll do, because I noticed one of the issues today is that if you post it on the forums, it kind of sit there and you got to search for it. Once you post it, I'll take it and put it on the homepage, and they'll be there based on the date that the event is happening. So you have that resource there, but the other thing, it doesn't work if we don't use it. It just sits there. And then the other thing is that we talked about a newsletter. We're going to bring it up, but I didn't send out anything this month because you got enough emails already for the meeting in such a short period of time. So we don't want to inundate you with a lot of emails, but we do want you to be involved and know what's going on. So in the near future, you'll get a newsletter. But again, for it to be effective, your feedback will help. So.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Is that it? All right. So we're gonna break up into groups, and Ed's got several people that's gonna take us up to the 4th floor. So have a great evening.